Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Carson, Wright.
Noah Flores.
Today we're going to be student physical therapists in a specific case in an outpatient clinic. First, I'm going to read this case to you. We decided to go with my last name, Wright, so I'll just go ahead and read the case to you right now. We have our patient, Stephen Rogers. He's a 25-year-old male recreational softball player presenting with posterior lateral right shoulder pain on his throwing shoulder. He notes the pain primarily during throwing, noting pain at end range of external rotation and on transition into moving arm forward in the throwing motion. Pain alleviates immediately upon cessation of throwing. During our objective exam, we note a 4 out of 5 gross shoulder strength, forward head and rounded shoulders posture, and poor thoracic mobility into extension and rotation. Patient is currently not playing softball but wants to return as soon as possible.
All right, so we're gonna break this up. I'm gonna do 3 thoracic exercises, and Carson's gonna tackle more of the shoulder exercises. So first, what we're gonna do to address the thoracic extension issues is I'm gonna have Carson sit down in this chair right here. What you're gonna do, Carson, is you're gonna bring your arms right behind your head. We're gonna do some thoracic extension over the chair. So what I'm gonna instruct my patient to do is I'm gonna instruct him to shift into the chair there and then lean all the way back, using the top of the chair as an axis, trying to really get into that thoracic extension. These right here, we're working not specifically for reps, so we're gonna do these for 3 times a day, maybe about with your meals, just so you don't build up any tightness. And we're gonna do that for about 2 minutes each. He's gonna come up and then over. Another thing you could do, if you have a foam roller, you could do that on the ground as well. This seems to be more common. Everybody's got their desk chair and stuff, such like that. So, like I said, 3 times a day, 2 minutes for these. We're going to progress more into the middle of the exercise progression, and we're going to do some wood chops. So, Carson, if you would stand up. Yes, sir. We're going to do some wood chops with, okay, we're going to do some wood chops with this band here. We're going to place the TheraBand up high so we can mimic right action. Let me just demonstrate to you here just first. So we can do this in a kneeling position. That way it kind of locks down the pelvis a little bit more. There's less rotation through there, and we have more rotation through the thoracic spine, because that's kind of our goal. Reaching up high here and then bringing it down low. Really trying to rotate through the thoracic spine. We're going to do these, here you go, Carson. We're going to do these 3 sets of 12. We're going to do this about once or twice a day. So again, the feet in a stable position really locks the pelvis down so that a lot of the rotation is actually coming through that thoracic spine, building up the movement and the strength throughout the end ranges at the top and at the bottom. We do this facing both ways to ensure that everything is equal bilaterally. And then the last exercise, what we're going to do, thank you, Carson. We're going to do one more for the thoracic spine. We'll grab this, and we will put it around a more neutral plane here. Again, let me demonstrate to you, Carson, first. We're going to do a full throwing motion. We're going to take the resistance here at our side, and then shift our weight forward, go through that full external rotation to internal rotation while rotating through the whole body. Carson. This one we're going to do about 3 times a day, no, 3 times, about 5 times a day, or 5, sorry, so sorry. We're going to do 3 sets of 8, and we're going to do that about 5 days a week, just because this is going to be a more taxing full body exercise that we're not going to be doing every single day during our softball training. Everything looking good there, Carson, rotating through the whole body, getting the whole body motion. Looking good.
Okay, so now that we've kind of touched on the thoracic spine, I'm going to jump into a few shoulder exercises. Really what we were trying to do with the thoracic extension, while we're working on the extension because he's got the deficit, we're also working on the postural deficits. You know, he's got the rounded shoulders, the protruded cervical spine. And really what that's doing, I mean, it could fully explain why he's having trouble getting into external rotation. You know, you have those rounded shoulders, definitely takes a lot more energy to get that shoulder all the way back. So that's something that we could do to help with that. We'd also like to touch upon, you know, before we get into the actual shoulder exercises, we'd like to touch upon fixing that deficit. So really teaching them to kind of pinch the shoulder blades back. We could even do rows with them. And then teaching them to get the chin tucked, you know, the deep neck flexors, just focusing on the postural stability. And then what we can do is get into what exercises we'd like to do. So first we're going to start with this yellow band. We're going to do some banded external rotation. So this concept's kind of challenging to understand for some patients. You know, they like to flare those elbows out. So what we're going to do is throw a couple of towels right on the elbows like so. And then what I'm going to instruct my patient here, Steve, to do is really just focus on pushing those elbows into the towel. So you want the towels to stay there the whole time. And then we're going to take the band and we're just going to bring those elbows or those hands away from each other. Perfect. And really getting a nice burn on those external rotators. Is that feeling okay, Steve?
Feeling great.
Good.
We'll burn.
Right on. That's exactly what we're looking for. So with this exercise, we chose to do a lighter band with more reps. So we'd like to see us 3 sets of 15, maybe even bumping it up to 3 sets of 20, really just focusing on fatiguing that muscle. He's obviously got the strength. We already tested it. He's got about 4 out of 5. So really just focusing on getting the external rotators, you know, progressed, working on getting them activated. So for this next exercise, what I want to do, I'm going to take that from Steve. We're going to work on an exercise called W's, okay? So I'm going to demonstrate to my patient really quick. It's kind of the same concept as rows. You know, you're pulling back, but once you get to the neutral plane, really we'd like to have this a little higher.
I could just kneel.
So once we get to the neutral plane, get those elbows flexed to 90 degrees, get the shoulders flexed to 90 degrees, or abduct to 90 degrees, flex to 90 degrees. We're going to work into an external rotation motion. So it's pull back, work into external rotation, just like so, and then back.
Making sure while we're going throughout, we're pinching those shoulder blades together before we make that W.
All right, so now I'm going to have my patient demonstrate for me.
Yeah.
So again, getting back to the neutral, and then we want to come up into external rotation. Perfect. And he's doing perfect. What we like to do is get into that external rotation, then instead of coming straight down, we go back into internal rotation to neutral, and then come back forward. Is that feeling okay?
Feeling great.
Yes.
Those external rotators.
Great. So for this exercise, I chose to do a higher level band, so green, maybe even bumping it up to a blue band, depending on how he's doing. At this point, we're focusing on the pain that he's experiencing when he goes into external rotation in that throwing motion, and kind of just focusing on strengthening the musculature, everything that surrounds, you know, the shoulder going into external rotation. Feel okay?
Feeling good.
Good. So our last exercise that we're going to do, kind of the same concept as Noah did with his last exercise to make this exercise a little more functional. We're going to focus on getting into the external rotation and finishing his throwing motion. I'm actually going to throw on this band. With this exercise, band's a little long. We can always fix that. But what we're going to work on is keeping the shoulders straight ahead. We can work on the rotation of the thoracic spine like Noah was doing, but really we just want to focus on getting into external rotation and then pulling forward. You know, everything that he's having trouble with. So external rotation, pull forward, come back, rest a little bit. External rotation, pull forward, come back, rest a little bit. So I'm going to have Steve demonstrate for you. Give him a couple cues. Perfect. Come back in the external rotation, then pulling forward in that throwing motion. Great. Came back. The only thing I'm going to tell you, Steve, is when we get back to this end point, let's come back into internal rotation and rest a little bit. just like that. So you're going through that full external rotation. Let's go ahead and try it again. External rotation, pulling through. Okay. Let's see that. See you do that a couple more times. Great. One more time. Is that feeling okay, Steve? Good. So for this exercise, I'd like to see it done for time. You know, making this a functional task, helping him out with his, get back to throwing in softball. It's not, throwing is not something that you're going to do constantly, so just working on maybe doing this for time, taking breaks when needed, and really just working on fatiguing the muscle. That way we can, get him back to sport, making sure that he's, ready to throw again. So with that being said, I think
That really addresses all of the patient's impairments from a posture standpoint to a lack of range of motion and even to painful ranges of motion. Increasing those ranges while strengthening that end range that we're gaining. So, I think we're all pretty good.